Originally, I had a much more positive script for this video. In a year of disappointing AAA shooters, Halo Infinite felt like it was a return to form for the franchise. Battlefield was serving us a buggy disaster for $60, speedrunning for the worst reviewed game on Steam. Meanwhile, Call of Duty pushed out a game that technically functions but fails to excite, looking more like a World War II mod for Modern Warfare 2019. In this environment, there's a lot to like about Halo Infinite. The gameplay works, and works well, for the most part. There's also plenty of excitement being the first Halo game in 6 years, but it's when we look back at previous games in the series that the cracks become more apparent. What we have here is a fantastic framework for what I believe could be one of the best games in the franchise. It's when we stray outside of this framework that we see more issues than your ex had with their dad. This will be a fun one to break down a year from now with complete hindsight, but as of right now, early December 2021, what's going on with the Halo Infinite multiplayer? Well, it's complicated to say the least. Before I go any further, I want to say a few disclosures. First, this video is just about the multiplayer. As of right now, I haven't got the chance to play the campaign yet, but if you guys want to hear my thoughts on that, I could certainly make another video. But this video won't discuss the single player at all. Secondly, I wouldn't consider myself a traditional Halo fan. I played these games at pretty much every social engagement from middle school to high school, but never had an Xbox to play them at home. It wasn't until the MCC came to PC that I got to experience all of these games firsthand. I'm only saying this because if you want the opinion of a longtime Halo veteran, I am not your guy. I can't regale you with the stories of playing new Forge modes, grinding for armor pieces, or running through the campaigns to get all the skulls. I appreciate these games, but wouldn't consider myself an OG or a real diehard fan. Lastly, I didn't play much of Halo 5, at all. My LAN memories died early on in the Halo 4 days, so I never really played too much of the latest entry. Since it's not in the MCC, and I'm not about to buy a console for what my Halo buddy says is probably the worst entry, I likely won't be playing it either. I only bring this up so you don't expect me to make a comparison between this game and the last one, which was Halo 5. With that out of the way, this video will be focused more on criticism than praise, but I am going to go over the great parts of this game as a bit of a spoonful of sugar with the medicine. This video was written and recorded before the December 14th patch, which added in Team Slayer and SWAT and things like that. I didn't want to go back through and gut my entire video and start from scratch, so I will bring up those things missing. They're in the game now, but it's still unacceptable that they were gone to begin with. Let's get back into it. So let's start with the positives. What do I like about Halo Infinite's multiplayer? Well, the first thing is the price. It's free. My favorite four-letter word. I have more experience in free-to-play shooter games than I would like to admit, and to see a huge IP like Halo go free-to-play is awesome. It's also nice to see them do it in a way that doesn't affect gameplay balance. I remember playing complete trash like Combat Arms, which was straight up pay to win, sacrificing any integrity of the game to make money. And I'm very happy to say that Halo Infinite does not sacrifice gameplay balance to make money. The only thing you can buy here is cosmetics. Otherwise, everything will be free, which is great. But the price doesn't matter if the game doesn't feel good to play. Luckily, Halo Infinite feels good and is a lot of damn fun. There's a reason that there's still people dueling it out on the MCC daily. Good Halo multiplayer isn't really like anything else. It can simultaneously be an extremely casual experience or a hardcore competitive one. It's really up to you. I'm going to compare this game's feel to Halo 4 just because it is the last one that I played. In Halo 4, I thought something as simple as the movement just felt wrong. The sprint felt like driving an F1 car on ice, and I didn't like the way that the jumps felt either. Everything felt like it was really floaty and loose. It just didn't feel good to move the Spartans around. Here, the movement feels very tight. Sprinting feels natural for the first time in the Halo series. Mantling feels good, especially in these more vertical levels. And the jumps feel high and powerful without ever feeling like you're on moon gravity. In my opinion, this game has the best locomotion in the Halo franchise. But it's more than just the basic moves. The movement options really shine when you factor in the pickups. There's a little booster which can be useful to peek a corner and then yeet right back when you realize you forgot the oven on at home. The repulsor is just a straight up yeet button. And the grapple shot changes the Spartans into Spider-Man. It also has other uses like grabbing enemies, guns, power-ups, and vehicles. This thing is extremely versatile and fun to use. I guarantee you it will be in a million montages over the next couple of months. And luckily, the weapons are just as fun to use as the movement system is. There's quite a few returning faces. The BR, the AR, the sniper, the rocket launcher, they're all back and they're as classic as they've ever been. The AR really feels like a viable weapon in this game. It can do headshot damage now, which I think is a series first, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. I think it could be a little too overpowered, but as of right now, I'm alright with it. Even without the headshot damage, it actually feels like using a gun and not a Nerf blaster, which is an issue I've had with the AR in the past. The sniper rifle is just as fun to pop people in the head as it's ever been. It's the same formula as it's always had. It's a one-shot headshot or 2 shots to the body. And the BR feels very similar to Halo 3's BR. I'm still kind of getting used to it given all the new movement options, but playing ranked has taught me to use it better than when I first started. And the rocket launcher returns in all of its big booming glory. But the biggest glow up in the game is certainly the gravity hammer. I've loved this weapon since the first time I used it, but it's become my absolute favorite weapon in Halo Infinite. First of all, this thing sounds fantastic.
That rattled them good, eh?
Second of all, this thing is a complete beast against infantry. This thing just feels really good to use with a satisfying amount of wind-up that you can just feel the destruction you're about to rain down on your opponent. It's a really fun gun to use. There's some new standouts too. The Mangler lives up to the namesake. It mangles. If you can land some saucy headshots, your opponents will be taking a dirt nap faster than Grandpa after talking about Jeffrey Epstein. In a pinch, the blade does more melee damage, making a 1-2 punch pretty viable. It's got bullet travel, which makes it a higher skilled weapon, but within close quarters combat, you don't really need to worry about it too much. The skewer is more or less the meme cannon of this game. It kills a vehicle in 2 hits and is a 1-hit kill anywhere on the body. It does have travel time and takes some practice to aim with, but it's my favorite gun to use without a doubt. If I could run around with a skewer and grav hammer all day long, I would be a happy man. In general, the new and returning guns feel great to use. Pairing these guns up with the new movement system, you have a fantastic framework for a Halo game. I don't think I've played a Halo game that has felt as fluid and free as this one. I'm also glad that loadouts are a thing of the past. Neutral starts are a core tenet of the Halo experience, and I'm glad that 343 has taken that stance as well. I want to commend them for making a great framework for the multiplayer. Truth be told, if they fumbled the ball in the gameplay portion of the game, I wouldn't even have anything to talk about. It wouldn't be worth talking about the game if it was bad. Good gameplay with bad issues in other places is a solvable problem. The opposite of that really isn't. If I didn't have so much fun playing the game, I wouldn't even critique the other issues. I would simply stop playing and find something else to do. If you haven't given it a try yet, please do. It's free, it's fun, seriously, go play it. I still highly recommend the game, and I think new and returning Halo players will find more to like in the gameplay than they dislike. But that's because the gameplay isn't really where the real cracks are. But if they're not here, then where are they? Well, this takes me on to the things that I don't like. I'm going to start with the things that I think are the easiest to fix, and then move on to more serious issues that could take longer for them to work on. And even though I love the gameplay and I do think that it's fantastic, there are a few issues that I think people might have. First of all, some of these guns are complete ass. The Ravager and Hydra feel pretty much worthless. I mostly use the Ravager as a Molotov to try and deny an area, but it doesn't feel like it does enough damage. The Hydra is pretty much worthless in lock-on mode, and in manual mode it feels alright against infantry, but it's far from useful. In a game that only lets you carry 2 weapons, these are not 2 weapons that I would ever pick up. Then there's the Pulse Carbine. I'm not sure if maybe I just need to get better at using it, which I think could be the case, but it just doesn't feel that good to use. I think that some of it comes down to the way that the projectiles work. I don't know if they're supposed to be tracking on these things, but I swear I just never hit any shots with it. The plasma pistol has always been a weak weapon, but here it's really only useful for the noob combo. Otherwise, it's the weakest it's ever been. They took away its old ability to EMP vehicles, which is weird because I never thought that was overpowered, but that's an aspect of the gun that's completely gone, so now it pretty much only takes out shields. The new weapon, the Disruptor, doesn't live up to its name. It's less of a disruption and more of a mild annoyance. Like, yeah, it has the ability to do EMPs and it can do damage over time, both of which are cool, but it's very underpowered. If you don't hit 9 out of the 10 shots in the clip, it's not going to kill a fully armored opponent, which makes it pretty much worthless. And finally, there's the Bulldog shotgun. If I'm being honest, I have a love-hate relationship with one-pump shotguns in any shooter, Halo included. They're super fun to use, but they can be really annoying to go up against. The Halo series has traditionally had one-pump shotguns in CQB situations. This isn't possible with the Bulldog, and it changes more than just the way that you use the shotgun. It changes the entire meta of the game. A shotgun used to be almost a power weapon, but here it just kind of feels like garbage to use. This has changed things like shotgun versus sword. That's just not a debate anymore because this shotgun can't kill in one hit. It needs at least 2. Speaking of that, can you imagine trying to play Infection with this new shotgun that doesn't kill in one hit? Yeah, that sounds awful. Hopefully if they ever come out with an Infection game mode, they will change the way it works. For the normal gameplay, I don't think changing it's all that bad, but if you loved being a one-pump chump, then those days are over. You're gonna need at least 2 strokes now. But honestly guys, don't worry, I'm sure they're gonna bring back the CE weapons. They're probably just gonna bring them back and charge you like, I don't know, 30 bucks or something, and look, you can get the new pistol, you can get the new battle rifle, and wait a second, fuck, that's Destiny. But the guns aren't the only part of the gameplay that needs some serious fixing. The melee system feels like you and a ghost decided to have a boxing match. I think a part of this is because player collision is off, and by off I don't mean that it's strange, although it is that. I mean that teammate collision is completely off. You can go straight through your teammates, which I can take or leave, but when you're against opponents, the collision system can completely fuck you over as you go straight through them as well. You're not supposed to be able to do that because, to be clear, enemy collision is on, but it's currently completely scuffed. This kind of stuff just straight up shouldn't happen, and it certainly shouldn't happen enough times that it's something that I have to worry about when I try and go for a melee attack. I don't know what's going on, but I shouldn't go through people or completely whiff a melee when it looks like I make collision with them. There's also some full-blown server desyncs, especially in vehicles. Take a look at this footage. It's not mine, by the way, it's from here. Vehicles also control worse than I remember them being from previous games, but again, I might just need to get used to them. I never played a lot of big team battle, and I don't use them at 4v4, so I'm not your vehicle guy. And also, even though it's not a button I usually use, where's the report function? I had a big team battle game where a dude was just being a trolling asshole and hitting enemies, and there was absolutely nothing we could do about it. On that note, I don't think I've ever seen a more cucked version of text chat. It's team chat only, so you can't tell your enemies to eat your ass, which is fine, but just like China, the sensors are always on with absolutely no option to shut them off. Seriously, 343, I'm a adult, let me turn this shit off. The only people that love this kind of excessive censoring are the people that need to hear what's being censored the most. Second of all, if you're going to institute a censorship like this, make sure it works. Like, what is some of this filtering? You can't say any numbers. I can't say anus, but ass is perfectly okay. I understand swears and slurs, but this thing will block you faster than a blue check mark on Twitter. I think this guy allows more free speech than Halo Infinite. Seriously, allow me to disable it, not because I want to call my teammates but because the filter is way too restrictive and fucking busted. It's at this moment that I want to remind Microsoft and 343 that the voice chat system doesn't have any restrictions like this. So while I can't call somebody an anus in text chat, I can call them anything I want in the voice chat, and there's no repercussions for that. This has led to more than one instance of a post-game sequence in Big Team Battle where I get serenaded with racial slurs in a way that the text chat really could have never done justice. And I can't even report them for it, and I can't mute them easily because you either mute everything or go through multiple steps to mute a single guy. It's a pain in the ass, and it's a genius system. I want to make it clear, I think people should be able to say what they want, but if you're going to be, let's just say a little step too far, that's what the report button's for. I don't understand why restrict the text chat this heavily and keep the voice chat the way it is, and then have the report system be, just not there. Like, you're asking for people to behave this way. I'm sorry, you are. Finally, I want to talk about the maps for a split second. I played the Big Team Battle maps and thought that they weren't too bad. I'm not the expert in the Big Team Battle area. I don't love it as a game mode, but these maps were big enough to feel like an expansion of 4v4, but not so big that I felt like I needed to get a vehicle to go anywhere. But some of these 4v4 maps are not the best. Behemoth is just a boring map and feels too big for 4v4. There's also like really long sight lines, which can be fun for some sniper battles, but it can make slow modes like capture the flag turn into a complete crawl. I've gone to time on capture the flag on Behemoth too many times because it's just easy to defend and hard to attack. I think it's just a really boring map overall and isn't really well suited for any of the modes, objective based or otherwise. I find launch site to be just lackluster, mostly because I don't think it fits into the current 4v4 format. I did hit this funny ass clip here, which I thought was great, but overall it feels like it would be better suited as a 6v6 or an 8v8 map, which aren't currently modes that we can play anyways. The map itself isn't inherently bad, it's just too big of a map for 4v4 action. Yeah, it's only 2 maps, which might not sound like a big deal, but when it's 2 out of the 7 available maps, that's a pretty decent total percentage of the maps. On the topic of maps, I wish that there was more of them in general, and I get it, some Halos in the past launched with about the same amount of maps. There's currently about 10 in this game, and Halo 3 launched with 11, so it's not like it's a big upgrade from that game, and everybody loves that game. But Halo 3 also wasn't in development for 6 years, and it launched with 1 more map than this game. Halo 5 launched with 21 maps and was in development for half the time as this game. Both of them got maps later on, with Halo 3 getting maps as soon as a few months after the game came out, whereas here we have absolutely no idea when we're getting new maps. They've kind of said some things about, well, maybe Season 2, but when's Season 2? Season 2 is May of 2022, which as of right now is 6 months away. That's a long time, guys. If we don't get maps between now and then, I don't think that this multiplayer is going to survive. It needs that content. I love the game to death, but the game needs a drip feed of maps and modes and additions if it wants to hold its own against games that continue to get rapid updates. And honestly, just bring back some fan favorites. I'm not asking for new maps. I'm asking for just more maps. They could get lazy and slap Blood Gulch in here for like the 5th time and I wouldn't care. I just want more maps. There's some bugs that'll come up in the multiplayer as well. I had one in particular where I would crash on respawn, which drove me completely nuts, mostly because it revealed another issue that I hadn't even considered, which is that you can't rejoin matches. So if your game crashes or for whatever reason you need to leave real quick and come back, yeah, tough titties, you're not getting back in there. Otherwise, I'm happy to report I haven't seen any like serious bugs besides that, and even then it's not like I crashed every time, just enough to notice it. But I'm sure that this stuff will get ironed out. It's a bummer to see that these problems exist, but next to stuff like this, the gameplay issues of this game feel very small. but people are liking the gameplay. Again, those aren't the issues that people are talking about. Let's rip the band-aid off and talk about all the other stuff. First of all, let's take a look at what we've lost. Armor unlocks are pretty much gone. I mean, you can say that they're here, but for most of them, they're unlocked through tactical use of mom's credit card instead of any kind of gameplay. Stat tracking is completely absent. There's no career page for you to look at your stats, favorite guns, amount of medals you got in a certain category. None of it. It's all gone. If you're a stats nerd like I am, this is one of the greater admissions that I just don't understand. Then there's the mysterious case of missing modes. Where the fuck is SWAT? I will hold the label of SWAT fanboy. I love it. It's my favorite mode. All 5 of my brain cells really like to get sweaty and be accurate for exactly 1 burst in the entire match and then fail to get a kill for the rest of the game. It's fun. 343, just please bring my son back. I'll do whatever you want. Well, no, I won't buy the battle pass, but I'll do whatever you want, please. The modes that I associate with Halo the most just aren't here. Shoddy Snipers is gone. Infection is AWOL. Assault is gone. And the other omission that hurts the most is Fiesta. This one hurts the most because there's no reason that it can't be here. Because it was here. It was a limited time mode tied to a limited time event. There was nothing wrong with it when I played it, so why is it gone? And I know I'm not alone as a Fiesta fan. It's a fan favorite mode. It's a fun mode to just sit back, have some laughs, and not care that much. It's a casual Halo player's wet dream. And also, I think it's the best mode to bring new people into the franchise. You get to use all the guns, you get to figure out how they work in a very low stress environment. And this game being a free game on every single Windows device, why not have that mode as a permanent feature? You want to bring new people into the series, bring them in with the modes that are best conducive to a learning experience. This brings me to the actual way we get to play these modes. This shit is unacceptable. You want to play Slayer? Get fucked. Here's Oddball. Huge capture the flag guy? Well, you can capture D's nuts and go play some strongholds. The inability for me to pick the mode I want to play is fucking deranged. I have friends that like this game, but they can't play it for more than a few matches because they hate Oddball or Territories or Capture the Flag or whatever. Sometimes you just want to sit down and play Slayer and nothing else, and I think you should absolutely have the ability to do that. Consolidating things like this makes sense when a game is on its final legs and dying. That way there's not a huge queue time to try and play the weird kind of version of the game that you want to play. But this game is new, and the most popular it will ever be is right now. As of right now, I bet if they let me pick minutia down to the mode and map, I would still wait exactly 0 seconds to find a match. So why is it this way? Well, luckily, the devs have responded to this point of not being able to pick a mode. So let's take a look at that. I'm sure they have a great explanation. Excuse me, what the fuck? No. Look, I don't want to attack this guy, and I want to state this here even though it should be completely obvious. The people working on this game are people. We can meme on the team and voice our problems, but don't attack these people. He's just out here trying to do his job in the best way that he sees fit. But I do hope, sincerely, that this guy is a dirty, stinky liar, because I find it extraordinarily hard to believe that there's no Slayer game mode because of UI limitations. This is giving me flashbacks to a fucking decade ago when Blizzard was out here saying that StarCraft 2 wouldn't have a LAN mode for comp play because the technology isn't there yet.
Man, and guess what everybody's saying on the forums right now?
The technology just isn't there yet.
I refuse to believe this. First, you guys made the game and the entire engine that runs it. Figure it the fuck out. Second, then make the UI a DOS front end. Let me type in slayer.mode or something. This is unacceptable. I seriously hope that he's lying. I really do. Because if it's true that after 6 years, game modes are hard-coded to the physical UI boxes that you click on, this game will need a remaster just to get it working. We also lost other stuff like Forge, campaign co-op, functioning custom games, and what seems to be 343's trademark term, it's coming. They seem to be thinking that they might be able to sneak Forge in by late fall of 2022, and that is a full year after launch. I don't want to be the doomsayer, but who will be left by then? What if it gets delayed? There's a chance that we don't see new maps, Forge, or working customs for a year. And if it's a year from now, how many people are still going to be playing? How could you fumble the ball this badly? I can almost guarantee that 343 Industries has been in development hell with this game, because otherwise the game would not come out like this. I mean, from the dev time alone, no game's in development for this long and has basic issues this blatant without some serious behind the scenes problems. It sounds terrible to say, but I hope that there was something going on in the background, because otherwise that means that they're so incompetent that this is what we're left with after all that time in development. Some in the community are pointing to the pandemic as a reason for this, but seriously, no, it doesn't make sense. This is like a football team blaming it all in the fourth quarter. You had another whole 3 quarters a game to play. You should have done better. But we didn't just lose stuff. What did we gain? A horrific progression system and other free-to-play modern gaming diseases. Like a Slayer playlist, traditional progression is a thing of the past. In what might be the most modern gaming of modern gaming moves, everything is a battle pass. Look, I could and probably will make a video at some point about why I can't stand battle passes, but on paper, this one actually does sound like a decent one. You pay $10, you get to keep the battle pass forever, and you can still level it up for free. Regardless of my issues with the battle pass, not being timed should be an industry standard moving forward. It removes the FOMO and feeling like you have to play the game. Again, 343, thank you for doing this. But with that out of the way, this thing's fucking terrible. Let me explain how it works. Unlike a normal system where you get experience during matches, this system is pretty much only about completing challenges. Get 15 kills with a battle rifle in Slayer, capture a flag in big team battle, stuff like that. This system makes getting levels slower than Eric the Eel Musbani. This problem is only further exemplified when you can't pick the modes because if you remember, game mode selection is gone. I'm fine with the idea of challenges. In fact, I love them as an additional source of experience. But my performance should be the main factor in my experience gain. It feels good to play really well in the game and then also be rewarded for that with experience. If I do really well in a match, I should get most of my experience from that. Instead, I'm encouraged to change my playstyle to chase after very stupid challenge completions. To be fair to 343, they have addressed this issue, but the fix isn't sufficient to me. Now you get a certain amount of XP based on match completion. This is certainly way better than the 50 XP per match that they were doing before, but I don't want participation trophies. Just bring back medal XP or objective-based XP or something. It doesn't need to be this way. What the hell are these numbers even supposed to mean then? If they're not for XP, then why are they there? Why are you showing me 100 after I get a kill? Like, it translates to nothing of serious value. Speaking of value, while it's subjective, I think that the battle pass is a bad value. For free, you don't get jack shit. Okay, that's not technically true. You do get 66 items. But what are those 66 items? Well, 40 of them are challenge swap consumables. It's almost like they're selling you the solution to a problem that they created. Okay, well, what if we pay some money? Let's say that you plop down the 10 buckos. What do you get? Well, you get all 40 of those challenge swaps, along with another way to get through the battle pass faster, 17 1-hour XP boost consumables. You also get some colors and visors and helmets and stuff. Truth be told, minus the level 50 kill effect, I find all this stuff to be pretty boring and run-of-the-mill. I think that most of the items that have been coming through the store look better than anything that you can get in the battle pass. You also don't get any premium currency to spend in the store or to unlock the next battle pass. So it's not like Fortnite where you could buy it once and then never again. If you're a free player, don't expect to look cool. If you're a premium battle pass owner, don't expect to look cool. Until you get those 3 wacky numbers on the back of mom's credit card, don't expect to look cool. It's very clear that they gutted customization just to sell it back to us. And honestly, it kind of hurts. Look at this clip from development. I think it's pretty funny these days.
The body of customization content that we have on day one ensures that there will be millions of customization combinations for Spartans on the battlefield. Coatings offer us a unique opportunity to craft some hyper-polished looks and let you express yourselves in ways you've never been able to before. We're coming at this from a player-first mentality. All of these rewards are single source, so you're never going to be confused about where things come from. If you can unlock something in the Battle Pass, we're not going to let any other players circumvent that by purchasing it out of the storefront.
A lot of our stuff is unlocked through playing the game and only through playing the game.
All these things are single source. Yeah. He may as well have just said, hey, yeah, all the cool stuff's gonna be in the shop. Also, the battle pass thing, no shit, Sherlock. It makes more sense for you to put a cool skin at level 80 of the battle pass, knowing that there's gonna be people that pay for the level skips up to there. They probably couldn't sell us an $80 skin without getting some serious backlash, but hey, if it's level 80 and it's really hard to grind and people will then pay money to get to level 80, well, I mean, look, no one forced you to spend $160 on level 80 of the battle pass. I mean, like, no one made you do that. I'm not trying to be Nostradamus here, but when I saw this trailer, I could smell the sleaze from the first minute I saw it. Any company that's going ham on in-game customizations these days is more or less just code for heavy monetization. They don't let us look cool for free anymore, boys. It's just the way it is. Stop buying this stuff, please. So let's get our tinfoil hats on because we're about to tie all of this information together. In fact, we're going to have a battle of the information. Some may say an information war, and you've stepped into it. And as your host, I'm going to guide you to the other side of consciousness. When it comes to these issues, we have 2 real explanations. Either 343 and Microsoft are so terribly incompetent that this is seriously the best that they could do for the literal face of Xbox as a brand, or they know exactly what they're doing and they thought that they could get away with it. Presumably, none of us were there, unless you're a 343 or Microsoft employee, at which point, good luck on the fixes, I wish you the best. But for the rest of us with no insider information, it's best to use Hanlon's Razor. Hanlon's Razor states that you shouldn't attribute malice where pure stupidity can suffice as an explanation. Certainly, incompetence is the likely answer here, and on paper, that is the answer that I agree with. But that's not the fun answer. That's just the answer that the heretics want you to believe. We can institute Dank's Law, which is certainly from somewhere else, but I couldn't find it after 14 seconds on Google, so we'll just say it's mine. The law states that any company or individual will act in a way which only serves themselves up until the consequences for their greed is too severe. The pattern of actions around the monetization and general out-of-game experience seems to indicate that someone knows what they're doing. I don't believe that 343 wants to have a disgusting monetization system paired with a terrible progression system. Somebody who loves video games would not design the systems the way that they have, but somebody who loves money certainly would. And of all the things that are broken, boy oh boy, would you take a look, the store works perfectly. The progression and Battle Pass are antagonistic by their very design. It gives you a random challenge, and then also gives you a random game mode, and hopefully it's the mode you need for the challenge. So then when you get frustrated when you need a capture the flag challenge and you've gotten Slayer for the 3rd time, you use one of your stupid tokens to change the challenge, just throwing the dice and hoping that you win the lottery and get a challenge that you can actually complete. But what do you do when you start running out of those? Well, you got your XP boosters, but even those XP boosters are fucking shit, because these XP boosters aren't 1 hour of playtime, it's 1 hour From the minute you turn it on, you have 60 minutes of real time. If you want that new visor, you can either get frustrated by challenge swapping and XP farming, or you can just give them another few bucks and progression the battle pass. And I think that is exactly what they want you to do. No matter the reasoning, they have created a problem and are now actively trying to sell us back the solution. This is why the whole "it's just cosmetic" argument falls apart for me. The cosmetic monetization of this game has infected it to its very core. Do you really think that these intro animations are necessary? Or do they just serve as a way to advertise what's in the shop? Is the battle pass really a fun progression system? Or is it purposely antagonistic for you to get frustrated and spend more money? Not to mention, it seems to me that most of the cool armor won't even be in the battle pass. It's going to be in the store for 20 bucks each, which is ridiculous. I'm just glad that I'm not the kind of person that cares about Spaceman dress up, but there's a lot of people that do. I know this game's free to play, so they have to make money somewhere, but that doesn't mean that they need to get the progression systems like this. I play other free to play shooters these days that their progression systems are fun. Fortnite, for all of its issues, I like its progression system. The battle pass in Fortnite is like the only one of those that I actually like. Hell, I'll speak these unspoken words, Splitgate. It has better progression than this, and it's a free to play game made by a small team of people. This is unacceptable. One of my buddies tried to defend them by saying that Halo isn't traditionally known for their progression systems in the same way that a game like COD is. And that is true, but also 343 and Microsoft decided to put a progression system in. So whether or not they're known for them doesn't really matter now. It's like a rapper trying to make a rock and roll album and then complaining that that's not the music they normally make. Like, you put it out there, dude. You made that decision. It's like a chef putting prime rib on the menu when they can only make soup. If you're going to serve something to a customer, it has to be good. Full stop. It's hard to accept that 343 is incompetent because I want to have some faith that this game's going to get fixed, and it makes it harder to believe. But accepting the alternative situation is the black pill that I just can't swallow. I think one thing that we can all agree on is at least this game didn't release on time. Can you imagine the state it would have been in? If it would have released way back at its first release date, it would have made 2042 look like a polished masterpiece, Game of the Year edition. Halo Infinite is probably the most frustrated I've been at a video game in maybe ever. If it wasn't as goddamn fun as it is, I wouldn't care about the issues. I would have just found something else to play. I didn't write this up out of hatred or vitriol for anyone making the game. The people that are going after them, saying mean things about them and attacking them is ridiculous. These people are working very hard, and while they might be incompetent in some ways or have some kind of issues, give them some support. I do think they want to create the best version of Halo that they can. I seriously do wish them the best. I only write this and I'm only so hard on the game because I care, and the issues that I brought up are important. I think with a few changes, this will be one of the greatest Halo games ever made, quite possibly my favorite, but in its current state it's so thoroughly mismanaged that it would make the Flint public water guys blush. This game has serious issues, but other games have survived things like this. Battlefield 4 is actually a great example. Battlefield 4 launched in a state much worse than this game, and after a lot of work it became my favorite Battlefield game, far and away. Nothing's even came close to it. So if they can do it, I think that these guys can do it too. I just want this game to have a long and healthy life, but given the current state of the game and roadmap for the future, I have a lot of concerns about that. Have you guys played this multiplayer? What do you guys think about it? Where's my Halo 5 vets at? Do you guys have any faith in the project? Because you guys dealt with 343 last time, and I'm curious what your opinion is. Hopefully in a year this video will be so completely irrelevant I can delete it, but as it stands, I'm pretty worried about the future. Like this video if you liked it, slap it with a dislike if you didn't. Even though you can't see them, I can, and they're good metrics. Scrubscribe if you want more long-winded gaming content. I'm gonna head back into Halo Infinite, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
That's right, we're Japanese.